This is my little block rig NPC. He doesn't move around so good unless you add some scripts to him. So we got 3 examples we're going to look at. The first example is a fixed path example with patrol points. Our second example is using PathfindingService. We got a bonus third example where we have patrol points and a chase example kind of mixed in together. All right, so let's dive into Roblox Studio and take a look at those examples. Just one more thing before you take a look at the examples. So all the scripts in this video are going to be on a post at MassFaction.com. So you can just go to that post. The description is in the link. Whoa. Okay, hold on here. What did I just say? Let's rewind that and check that out. So you can just go to that post. Description is in the link. Description is in the link. No, it's link is in the description. Oh. All right, let's jump into Roblox Studio and start looking at these examples. This is our NPC. And here are some patrol points. All right, let's set up our patrol points in the path we want our NPC to follow. Patrol point 1, patrol point 2, patrol point 3, and patrol point 4. So when our patrol script runs, it's gonna take all our patrol points that are in a folder and create the list, and then it's gonna order them by the name. And then our little NPC is going to move to each patrol point, stop for a little bit, and then move to the next patrol point, and so on. Then after it's done patrolling to all the patrol points, it'll get to the last patrol point, and then it's going to go back to our first patrol point. All right, let's jump into Roblox Studio and see how that works. All right, so this is the first example we're going to look at. So this is just a simple patrol point example. So what we have here is we have an NPC, and we have these different parts here. So these parts are our patrol point parts, or they're basically waypoints. So this is the perfect kind of way of going about things. We want your NPC to follow a predefined path. So we go over to the Explorer and take a look. We have this patrol demo folder. So we have everything we needed for this demo in this folder. So inside that, we have another folder called patrol points. And then we have these different parts in that folder. So that's these parts here. And we have them named point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4, and point 5. So it's kind of important you have them in this specific naming, because we're going to be ordering these parts so that everything is kind of done in a specific order. So we look at here, this first one here, this is 1. We kind of have this zigzag pattern. So we have point 2, point 3, point 4, and our final part, point 5. All right, so now we go to our patrol rig, expand the patrol rig in the Explorer. We have this script added to the patrol rig called patrol. So let's just double click on that so we can look at this script. So at the very top of the script here, all we have is some references to some things we need to have this demo work. So the NPC itself. So the NPC is the parent of the script. So we have script.parent. And then we go and find the humanoid that's inside that NPC. So we get a reference to that. And then this is just a reference to the demo folder itself that we have everything in called patrol demo. And inside that folder we looked at, we have another folder called patrol points. And so we're just getting that reference to that folder. Then once you got a reference to that folder, we go down here to line 7, and we get all the children inside that, and we put it in this table here called patrol points. So that's all those parts will be in this table here. Then we jump down to line 9, and this is where we actually sort those. So they're going to be in order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We want them all in order. Jumping down here, we know we have parts in that folder, but this would just be a check. We're using the length, checking to see that it's not equal to 0. So if we have 0 parts in that folder, it's not going to work. So we're just checking that, making sure that it's not 0. All right, so we go down to 19. We have this current index variable. And we set that equal to 1, so we're going to start at number 1 here. And then we have the function get next point. So that's a function we use to get the next point and have our guy go towards. All right, so in that get next point function, all we do is we have a variable called point, and we're just setting that equal to patrol points with the current index in that table there. So it starts off at 1, and then we go and increment that index, and the current index is greater than the number of patrol points. So it's greater than, we have 5, so in this being 6, then we reset it back to 1, and we're going to actually go with 1 because we wanted to go back to the beginning after it reaches the end. And then we're just going down here and returning the point. All right, and this is kind of the loop that makes this all work here. So we have a while true do, which is basically going to be a never-ending loop here. So it's always going to be true. So it's always going to keep going. Line 31 here, we got this target part variable, when that's equal to the get next point. So that's that function up there we're using to get the point we want to go to. And we're going to check is type of target part equals instance, and target part is a base part. Then if that's all true, we're going to go into here and go humanoid move to. So they're just using the move to move to the position of that part we got from the get next point. All right, so when move to is finished, then we just wait. And we down here we have another task.wait. We wait for 0.3 seconds. So 0.3 seconds just gives him a little time to stop there and kind of makes it look like he's stopping at his next point and looking around and going on to his next point. All right, let's run this and see this in action. All right, so there's our guy who's going through. Our NPC is running through those patrol points. He's on to 0.5, back to 0.1 because at the end of the list, on to 2, on to 3, on to 4, 5, back to 1. So it's a pretty simple script, just kind of a predefined path. So this is a perfect way if you have a predefined path and you know exactly where you want your NPC to go, set up these waypoints, then you can send him along this way and he'll follow through and following that path. Here's the same predefined path, but I just replaced the patrol points with subscribe buttons. Hey, kind of neat. All right, here's the setup for our second demo. So this demo, we're using PathfindingService. So we just go down here. We have our little NPC down here. He's our pathfinding NPC, and we have a script on him. And he is going to have to navigate this little kind of course here to find the goal, which we have down here, the target, which you need to have him reach. We don't want him to have him walk on the cracked lava and burn his feet. So he has to go and take the grass here. He has to be smart enough to come over here and take the grass over here. And then he has to walk through the grass to make it through to the target here. And then there's a little bit of obstacles here. He's got a little jump he's got to make here. And he's got to climb up this truss. Okay, so we're going to select the NPC here. We're going to go inside and find the script and just open up the script. So as always, we always have the references we kind of set up here at the beginning of the script. So we have a reference to PathfindingService. So it's just game, get service, PathfindingService. Then we have a reference to the NPC, so it's script.parent because the NPC is the parent of the script. And then we're getting the humanoid and root part of the NPC. So we're using wait for child for humanoid and humanoid root part, get references to that. And then again, we have our demo in its own folder. So we have the pathfinding demo folder. So we're making a reference to that folder. And then inside that, we have a target part. So that is the part we want to end up at after the end of the path there. So that's the target that the NPC has to make its way to. So we have a reference to that target part. And then down here, we're having a local path equals PathfindingService create path. So this is where we create the path. So with create path, you can pass in a table. It's just a bunch of parameters, argument parameters for the path to kind of just fine tune how the path can function. So we'll take a look at what the defaults are here in the Roblox documentation. So here's the documentation for the create path, and this is the different keys that you can set up in this table here for the agent parameters. So we're going to have agent radius, and the default for that is 2. So this kind of determines the minimum amount of horizontal space required for empty space to be considered traversable. So let's just take a look. Let's go back in here, and let's go back and look at our path here. So what that means is if you set a higher number, it means it's going to need more traversable space to make its way through there. So if you have a higher number system, you're going to get less of a chance of getting too close to this cracked lava, but you don't want to have that high number set too high because then it can not find the path correctly and maybe make the path too wide, so we can't make it on this grass here. So you want to kind of fine tune that value, so you're just kind of getting the right value so it kind of just picks the most appropriate path based on your situation. All right, then you have agent height. That's very similar to agent radius. It's just for the height. Then you have agent can jump. So the default for that is true. So if it needs to jump anywhere on your path to complete that path, you're going to have agent can jump set to true. And then you have agent can climb. That's default is false. But if you need to be able to climb like a truss part, so we have a truss part in our path. So we're going to have that set to true so that it can actually make a path up that truss part. And then waypoint spacing. So default is 4. And then cost. We'll get into the cost a little bit, but you can set up costs. So you can assign cost to materials on terrain, or you can use a pathfinding modifier to assign cost to various different parts. So the cost will help it determine what's the best path based on the materials and regions so that it'll pick the most appropriate material to go over or the specific region that's best for it to go through, depending on the costs that are associated to those regions or materials. All right, I'm just going to paste in what we need as our params to kind of just make it so it can complete the path we have. So I'm just going to set this here is our agent radius equal to 2, our agent height equal to 5, which is basically the defaults there. The can jump is
agent can jump is equal to true, so that's a default as well. But we have the agent can climb set to true, which is not the default, so that's overriding the default from false to true. Then we have some cost set up. We have grass. The grass material assigned a value of 1 for the cost, and we have cracked lava assigned math.huge. So when you have math.huge, basically, if you don't want the path to go into that region or adopt that material, you want to assign it to math.huge. It's a really high value for the cost. So just make sure the path doesn't go over that region or material. And then we have a no-go zone, which is going to have math.huge, and a go zone, where we're having it equal to 1. All right, so after we create our path, we're going to go down here, and we have this show debugs waypoint equal true, and then we have this show debugs waypoint function. So what this is a visual kind of tool to help you see the path that's being created. So it'll just basically, all these different waypoints are being created. It's going to set a little green part, neon ball, at each of those waypoints. We can see the path that's been generated. All right, and then below that, we got the function follow path 2. And for follow path 2, we have this target position. So we're just passing in the vector 3 of where we want it to end up, the target position. And then we have below that, on line 51, we have path compute async. So this is going to compute the path. So we have our root part dot position. So that's where we're going to be starting. And we have the target position is where we want to end up. Right, and then below that, we're just seeing if that was successfully computed. So path.status we're checking, and we want to make sure that the status is success. And then we have right here, so it's saying it's not equal to success. Then it's going to go and it's going to print out this warn to the output. So we'll know that there was a failure. All right, so that was successful. We can come down here to local waypoints. We're going to get the waypoints from the path. Then we're going to check to make sure the waypoints is not equal to 0, so that we need to have more than at least one waypoint. If there's no waypoints, then we're going to just return and give that error message, the warning message. And then when we do have some waypoints, we're going to come down here, and we're going to go loop through those waypoints. And as we're looping through those waypoints, we're going to call the show debug waypoint. That's where we're actually going to create those little green balls along the path so we can see all the waypoints and have a visualization of the actual path. All right, we go down a little bit lower. We have another for loop here. So we're just looping through those waypoints again. And we're actually this is the kind of the logic that's going to make us move along this path here. So first thing we have there is waypoint.action. So that's for a waypoint.path waypoint.action.jump. Then we're going to make the humanoid.jump equal to true. And then humanoid move to waypoint.position. This is going to have it move to that next waypoint. And then we have move to finished, and we're going to wait for the move to finished. And then we're going to have this reached here. So if that is true, then we're all good to go. If it's not reached, that means there is some kind of issue there. We couldn't make it to that waypoint. We're going to break out of the loop here, and there was some kind of problem. All right, and below that, we got this path.blocked connect. So we're just kind of connecting the event. So if there was not a blocked event there, it's going to go into this function. And then it's going to print out this little warning message, path got blocked at waypoint index, with the index that got blocked at, and then it's going to try again, follow path 2, and try to continue along the way. In the final very end of the script here, we got task.wait, so we're just going to wait 5 seconds before after everything runs, the script loads up. We're going to wait 5 seconds here once it gets to this point, and then after that, we're going to call follow path 2, and we're going to start continuing along the path. So let's see how that works. All right, we're going to click play here, but remember, we have the debug set to true, so we'll see a bunch of little green circles representing the path waypoints. And then once all those circles appear, you'll see after about a second or so, the NPC will start going along the path and follow those waypoints to try to get towards its target point, which is down here. All right, let's see what he does. Zoom in here. Let's give him a little watch. There he goes. He jumps, climbing up the truss. Oh, picks the grass. Oh, what's happened here? He tried to go over the cracked lava and died. All right, so let's look at why this happened here. So let's take a look at this. We'll click on this one here, and this is a no-go zone. We'll open that, and we have this pathfinding modifier in here. But you notice the one where the NPC decided to try to go through, we'll notice that that one does not have a pathfinding modifier. So we look in the pathfinding modifier, it has a label, and this label is no-go. So if you remember in our script, so let's go and open our script, and we had these costs here, and we had no-go. So that's the label of the pathfinding modifier, and we have that set to math.huge. So when we have math.huge, that means you don't want to try to go through that for your path. You'll avoid that. But
if we go back in here, we didn't have the pathfinding modifier set up. So we're going to add the pathfinding modifier here, and we're going to put the same label no go for a pathfinding modifier here as well. So let's do that. All right, so this cracked lava has the pathfinding modifier with the no go label, but this one over here, this no go zone, is missing the pathfinding modifier. So we're going to add a pathfinding modifier to this one also. Let's click on there and just type in path or P to find the pathfinding modifier. Click on it to add it in there. And we're going to have it have the same label no go also. So go down to the label, type in no go. Perfect. All right, and then we have our grass sections here, grass parts. So this one has a pathfinding modifier with the label go. This one is missing it. So we'll also go here and we'll add a pathfinding modifier. And we'll go and find its label property and just type in go. All right, so again, we're all set up here. We got our script. We got our go zone with a cost of 1. So it's really small. That's the lowest possible value there. So it's going to try to go into that zone, go for that part. And the no-go, math.huge, it's going to not want to go in there. It should try to avoid that at all costs. It's a very giant cost. All right, let's run it and see what happens. All right, so there he goes. And he jumped. He goes up the truss. Oh, look, he goes for the grass. Perfect. Goes and avoids the lava again. Perfect. Oh, our path, that's fine, disappeared. We only have those visible for 10 seconds. But he makes it to the target. So you'll notice over here on the grass here, so you'll notice when he made it to this terrain, he also went through the grass and avoided these lava zones also. So that was also due to the cost we have set up also. So let's go back in here, and you'll see we have, for terrain, for the different materials on terrain, you can set costs for those as well. So we have grass set to 1, so that he walked over the grass. We have the cracked lava, which is the name of the material. It has to be spelled exactly how the material name is. We set that at math.huge, so we avoid that material and go and walk on the grass, because that's the safe path. All right, so that kind of covers what we're going to cover with the pathfinding service. So just to point out a few things here, I'm going to jump down there. I'm going to walk the path myself here. So remember here, we had to actually jump. So we had to have that jump to true. So we could jump. And then remember we had the truss. You have to set the climbing to true also. And then here, remember we had the cost. This had a high cost. This had a low cost. If we went over this, we would probably be in some trouble. We'd burn our feet. Don't want to go there. So we want to walk over the grass. Oh, I touched it. Darn it. Okay, I'm going to make it this time. I'm very careful. Yeah, so again, we had the pathfinding modifiers in here. For the grass, with the low cost, with a high cost. So we want to make it over here. And then the path would have went along the grass here, because that material on the train had a low cost. And over here we have cracked lava. That had a high cost. We make it over here to our target part and our final goal. Perfect. Okay, so this is a setup for our third and final example. This is just kind of a bonus example. So it mixes in kind of like the patrol point example, and it mixes in a pathfinding service example, because we have what happens when you touch this little zone. We enter his zone here, these little red parts here. There's a script in here that triggers a binding event that causes this little rig here to go into chase mode and chase after us. So I'll just kind of demonstrate that. We can go touch this here. Oh, he's on to us. Let's get out of here. Ah. Oh my goodness. Anyhow, yeah, so this is just a kind of little bonus example. I'm not going to go through this in detail. I'm not going to go through the script in detail. It's very similar to the other two examples. It's kind of a mix of those kind of examples, but I will point out a few things. Let's look at the Explorer here, and I'll just kind of show you a few things you need to know, but you'll be able to grab this script from MassFaction.com, the post in the description. Okay, so I just got this chase demo folder here, and we got patrol points, very similar like this first example there. And you got your patrol points in there. And then we got this little chase mode, and that's just a bool value. So you'll see that used in the script. And then we got our chase rig, and there's the main script in there. So that will be the script. So you'll be able to find that script on the post. And then we have another script on this patrol zone. Oh, but also I got to point out here. So under the chase rig, we have this start chase. This is a bindable event. So you'd also have to have this bindable event under your rig to make this script work as well. So we have that called start chase. So that's important as well. And then there's also, like I said, another script in here on these patrol zones, which is just basically these parts I put around the little waypoints or patrol points that he goes and kind of patrols around. Right, and then in this patrol zone script, there's basically just some references at the top here, and we have this little touch event here, and then it kind of triggers that bindable event there and fires that event and passes in the character. Yeah, so that's what I'm not going to go through all the details. Like I said, you can find the script at massfaction.com. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at these 3 examples with me. Thanks.